Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm talking about buying rods online. Here are a few that I purchased online from St. Croix that I'm going to review here in the future. Many of us are starting to buy more and more rods online, and I want to talk about the risks, the advantages, and by the way, what St. Croix does to lower that risk if you want to buy from them directly. Did you know that about 50% of people buy rods online? That's a pretty big number, but not surprisingly. If you've been to a tackle store lately and checked out the rods, you might have a couple of rod brands. You might only see one or two rod lines of that brand. And then when you get down to the models, there may be a very, very few number of models. And if you're looking for a specific length and action to fit your needs, chances are the store won't have them because they only have a couple models in that particular rod line. So in a way, shopping online is superior, right? You can find the exact brand you want, you can find exactly the line, and then you can buy the exact model, obviously if it's in stock. And if you can't find it in stock at one place, you can go somewhere else. But what you can't do is you can't get that rod in your hand, you can't feel it, you can't decide if it has the right balance, you can't decide if the action is good or not. You just can't do that, and you need to do that. And more importantly, in many cases, some of the online stores will say, we'll take it back, but it's got to be in shape to resell it. So you really take it out fishing for a week and a half? I don't think so. This particular rod I've actually had out and used it, and already the cork is starting to get a little colored, right? Because I had my hands on it. So that just won't work. But here's the deal. St. Croix gives you a 30-day money-back guarantee. It starts from the day they ship it. So, it might take 3 to 5 days to get it to your house. Keep that in mind. But that gives you 3 full weeks, really, to use the rod. But the cool thing there is you can actually take it fishing. And ultimately, if it doesn't suit you, you can actually ship it back. You can buy a return label for $25. That's a pretty inexpensive return cost. And the kicker thing about that is, I got 5 rods in the tube together. You're going to see me here go outside and I'll be showing that to you. But here's an example. I've got 2 rods here that have the exact same power and action. They're in 2 different rod lines. And what this allows me to do is go, which one of these do I want? I'll keep one, I'll send one back, maybe I'll send them both back. And that's the interesting part. For that same $25, you can actually send the exact same number of rods you was shipped to back to St. Croix. And that's pretty cool. So that is a great way for you to test out a rod and even put it to use. So let's go outside now and let's just show you the unboxing. I'm going to give you some tips about what you should do when you unbox, and then I'm going to guide you through to do some out of the tube, if you will, test to get an idea really what you should check for when you can without taking it out fishing. When you order online, you obviously get your rod sent to you in a tube. It could be a tube, or sometimes I've seen a box, depending on how many rods you buy. In this case, there's actually 5 rods in here. I've already opened the top, so I'm going to go ahead and pull the rods out, or drop them out. Kind of awkward here, but let's do this. There we go. And I'm pulling everything out. There you go. Okay, let me just set this down. Now notice how this is all set up. There's butt ends on one end, and there are butt ends on the other. That's because there are 5 rods here. If you just get 2 rods and it comes in that same size tube, what you'll notice is they'll probably have the butt ends on one end and just the tips on the other. And on the butt end, there's going to be a string. If you see this string right here, sometimes they'll have that string then taped to the outside of the tube. That lets you know that that end where the butts are, you should open at that end, and then that string keeps it from sliding up and down the tube, protecting the tips. And you'll also notice that on the tip end, they'll have a whole bunch of this type of wrap, a bubble wrap. If you're going to buy rods on the internet and leverage their return policies, St. Croix has a 30-day return policy that you can get the rod, you can actually use the rod, and you can return it in 30 days. See how they do this. You notice that everything's wrapped in its own individual plastic thing. Keep those. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take some of these apart, and I'm going to talk about what I can do before I use it fishing. When you take a rod out of the tube, do the obvious assessments. Look at the handle. Do you like the handle? Do you like the reel lock nut? Is that something you like and can deal with? If you kind of hold it like this, does it kind of feel good in your hand? Just do that. And if that doesn't pass the test, put it in the tube and send it back. And then just send a letter saying, hey, I didn't use this. All I did was check it. And basically it's like you handle it in the store and you say, you know what, I just didn't like it, I'm sending it back. Now, if you go further and you take it fishing and you decide you don't like it, I would then say, look, I'm sending 2 rods back. One I took fishing, the other rod I didn't use it at all. You know, help them out. They're taking the return, and just be nice about it, because I think the nicer you are, in a way, that they'll keep these policies going. Do everything you can to make it as smooth as possible for a company, St. Croix, for example, here, to receive that back to them and put it back in their stock so they can actually make money off it. The next thing you need to do is put the reel on the rod and hold it the way you're going to hold it when you fish. How is the balance then? Because that's going to definitely change the balance of the rod. In this case, the balance seems exactly what I'm looking for, because this is an incredibly great light rod. Next thing you want to do is run some line through it, and you don't need a bait on, but at least give it a test. Give it some bending test and give it the power test just by pulling on it. Does the rod seem like it's going to suit the needs you want it for? This is a heavy power rod with a moderate fast action, and is it going to do the things that I want it to do with this rod? There may be a situation where that just doesn't work out. It's like, oh, I may want a faster tip. This is a moderate fast tip, and it turns out, yeah, maybe this is too soft for what I want to use it for. In that case, you've done yourself a big service. You put your reel on it, you put line through it, and you did some pull test. By the way, you can actually do this in the store too. You know, take your reel that you're going to use the rod with, if you have one, put some line on it, and start doing this bend test. So I want to talk real quickly about the St. Croix website. They just recently updated, and boy, did they do a good job. I would honestly tell you that the website maybe 5 weeks ago was pretty crappy. It was really slow. It was nasty. As a matter of fact, if I wanted to learn about the St. Croix rod, I went to Tackle Warehouse and looked at their specs there as best I could. But now that's past. I think the St. Croix website is just amazingly fantastic. Hey, let me jump in here and just point out the fact that I am offering memberships to my channel. For $1.99 a month, you can join, and you're going to get members-only videos. Those videos are going to be specifically the ones that I'm going to call virtual fishing trips, where I give away detailed information about what's happening at the time I'm on these lakes fishing. I think that is worth $2 a month. It can really help you jumpstart your fishing here in Arizona, and I think you're just going to learn a lot, because I go into detail. Humans learn from each other by language. Yes, you can watch my videos and see what I'm doing, but it's way more important to get my input. Not only see what I'm doing when I'm making casts or catching fish, but also me narrating what's happening. Critical information for you. That's how you can learn faster, and that's how you can enjoy fishing more. By joining my particular YouTube channel, watch those members only videos, and then do what I'm doing, get out there and try to duplicate what I'm doing. That's the best thing you can do. One of the things you can do after you decide to keep your rod is register it with St. Croix. Here you can see the registration page is pretty simple. You can register a rod, a couple rods at a time, and it's kind of important to do it, although not necessary. The reason it's not necessary when you need to call on their warranty, for example, is because they will ask you for a particular code that's on the rod that gives them the date the rod was made, the year, the month, and so on. But let's say they built that rod, and that rod sat in inventory in the store for 1.5 years, and you only get a 5-year warranty. By registering that rod, that starts your 5-year warranty. Okay, so keep that in mind. So I would register the rods if I were you. If you're buying online, I might make a suggestion. If you're looking for a particular rod for a particular situation, go ahead and buy more than one rod. Buy one rod from one line, and 2 rods from a different line, and then you can make this early assessment like I showed you how to do. And that way you can go, oh, how do I like the handle? What's the price point? Is this price point suitable for me? And you can go through that process. And the beautiful thing is you can then return the ones you don't want. So buying online and using the return policy can get that done. But you know, you got to get some rods in your hand. So go ahead, make the purchases of multiple rods, assess them, and then send back what you don't want. Well, that wraps it up for this video. I hope that my interpretation of how all this works and how to buy a rod online was useful to you. I really do. I hope you take advantage of the St. Croix return policy, their $25 shipping. Go out there, give it a shot. They have 800 rods that they make. Of course, some are in fly fishing and some are in saltwater. But what the heck, there's so many rods. You can go to their great website and you can look around, get the length you like, get the action and the power you want, put them in the cart, boom, 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 buy them, have them sent to you. Look at them. If you don't like them, send them back. Anyway, I hope that was useful. Be free out there. We're Americans. We deserve to be free.